Take 6. Is your life kinda complicated? Welcome to One Take, the podcast designed to seek wisdom to live simple, healthy, and happy. We'll get there one take at a time. I'm your host, Jasmine Thomas. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of One Take, the podcast. I am your host, Jasmine Thomas, and I am really grateful that you're joining me once again. Today we have a very special guest. She is a friend of mine. She is a multimedia journalist, and she is somebody that has a very unique goal for 2017. It's one that sounds simple, but it's quite complex to achieve. And she is determined. 2017 for Lorraine Caceres is the year of happiness. It's going to be her goal, and she's going to do everything she can to achieve it. The reason why I wanted to invite her is not only because of the positivity that she has to approach the new year. It's the positivity that she always has, even in the most difficult situations. You may know from your friends. You have some of your friends, when you share things with them, they don't get really excited. They don't get really interested. Some other friends, they get really excited. Well, this is something really special, and I'm really grateful for, because when I shared with Lorraine my plans of starting a podcast and the blog, she was extremely excited. She wanted to learn about it. She wanted to know why. She was enthusiastic. And I appreciated that. Not very many people share the same enthusiasm or interest. And Lorraine was in. And from the first day that I told her I had launched, she's like, I want to be in your podcast. I want to share my story with your audience. I'm so excited about what you're doing. And I really appreciate that. You know, it's very special to find support in your circle of friends because we're all busy. I get that, you know, and sometimes asking people to give you feedback or give you their opinions or sharing your opinions with them, everyone's busy and sometimes they don't really take you seriously. Well, she was very supportive from the beginning and she was enthusiastic and she was really happy that I was doing this. And I appreciate that because it's those little things that keep you in track. Those little comments, the positive energy that she shared with me from telling her about this project, it really pushed me to keep going forward. And for that, I am really grateful. And that's who she is. She is a multimedia journalist. She's been nominated and she's won several regional Emmy Awards. She is somebody that's focused and somebody that always has a good attitude. And that's why I wanted to bring her on board today. Because I've shared with you guys before that I don't always have a good attitude and I'm working on it. And I'm working on being grateful. And I want to be around people who are that way. And this girl, she's that way. So without further ado, let's talk to Lorraine. Let's learn about what it is like to be a millennial. We're going to talk to her about some of the challenges that research and experts say millennials face. And we'll see what her take on that is. We are also going to talk about happiness, you know, making 2017 the year of happiness. Simple, but complex. We're also going to talk to her about the things that inspire her and what it means for her to be a journalist. This is my featured conversation with Lorraine Caceres. All right, everyone, we are starting take 6. And for this episode, I have a very special guest because she is one of my girls at work. She is a friend of mine. She is a girl that's always positive. I've never seen her in a bad mood. She's never been mean to anyone. I've been mean to many people, but she hasn't. She's always in a good, positive mood. She's laughing already. And when she heard about the podcast, she was really excited, and I was really grateful for that, because a lot of people, when you share with them new ideas, they're kind of like, you know, they don't give you positive feedback. They don't get excited. She was excited as if I was doing, something huge. And I really appreciate that, Lorraine. And her name is Lorraine Caceres. And she's a fellow multimedia journalist. She's been nominated multiple times and she's won many awards, including many regional Emmys. But before I tell you about herself, why don't we just invite her to tell us about herself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, Lorraine.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so proud of you that you're doing this, and the episodes are so good, and I know you've been wanting to do this for so long, so I'm so happy that you finally grabbed the bull by the horns and you're doing it.
Finally.
It's going to be great. Yeah, so, my name is Lorraine. I'm currently in Texas, and I work with Yasmin, and I'm a multimedia journalist, as she just mentioned. I came to Dallas, Fort Worth area from Miami, where I was also a journalist in a little bit of a different role. Just to give you guys a little bit of a background, I was born in New York, and when I was around 4 or 5 years old, I moved to Dominican Republic with my parents. That's where my family is originally from. And my parents, even though they've been in the U.S. for decades, wanted to raise their kids where they grew up. So they transferred the family back to the homeland. And that's where I grew up. And when I was 18, I came back to the States for college. And that's sort of where, everything started. My journey started.
So that move when you were little back to Dominican Republic, and then when you are, 18 years old, which is a very impressionable age, you come back to the States. How was that change? How did you adapt?
It was incredibly difficult, and it was a difficult decision to make. I had a very happy and full childhood, nothing but amazing memories and, a happy life. But when I was approaching graduation, I knew that seeing as I was an American, I should take advantage of an opportunity that so many people in Latin America and in other countries, would love to have, which is to come to the U.S. With no legal drama and be able to get, a top education and opportunities that you get in this country that you won't get anywhere else, or it's really hard to achieve anywhere else. So I just decided that even though it was very difficult, I had to do it. And I grew up in a very comfortable environment where, my family, thank God, wasn't struggling and we didn't have difficult situations. I had a very comfortable life. So making that decision is not only psychologically, difficult, but I was also abandoning a very comfortable life to come to the U.S. and start from scratch. So it was difficult. The first few months were hard. I couldn't even speak to my parents on the phone. We couldn't have a conversation because we would just cry.
So
and,
I assume
eventually
they stayed back?
Yeah, they stayed home. I have two younger siblings, my sister who's 2 years younger and my brother's 6 years younger. So they were still, in high school and in middle school. And they had a life. My father had a business in DR, even though he also had businesses here in the US. So he was traveling back and forth, but our life was back home. I was the one making the journey back to the US in search of an education and a life.
So it was your decision. It wasn't something your parents said, hey, you should do this.
No.
We'll support you. Go ahead.
No. All the contrary. They were trying to bribe me to stay. We'll buy you a car. You'll get your own place. And it was all very tempting. Tempting.
What did you say no to?
Offers. I said no to a Mercedes-Benz, the car of my dreams, in order to come to the U.S. and go to college.
They really wanted
nice
you
offer,
to stay.
He really wanted me to stay. His best friend, who used to work with him at the time, says that the day that my father dropped me off at the airport, he came back to his office and he was just sobbing. Like, he went into his office and closed the door. He sobbed the entire day. And they could just, like, all the clients and the employees outside could just hear him sobbing all day. They didn't even knock on his door.
Oh, boy.
It was difficult. I mean, everybody goes through difficult situations. I'm not comparing this to any, personal tragedy that someone suffered or anything. But, for me, it was very, very difficult to make the decision and to make the journey back home, back here to the U.S.
And
after so many years.
How did you decide to go back to New York? Because that's what you knew, or is that where you went back?
Because mainly that's what I knew. I had a lot of family that was still in New York, and I got a scholarship to go to a small private school, like 40 minutes away from the city. And, it was already a tough decision to come to the U.S. I wanted to go somewhere that I felt a little bit familiar with.
And arriving here, how did you get accustomed to the new life, living by yourself, going to college?
It was hard. I mean, but like anything in life, you get used to it. You try and, stay positive. I always kept my eye on the goal. I was there for a reason, and I was going to achieve what I was there to get. And in the middle, between the beginning and the end, ton of stuff happens, and it's very hard, and you question every day if you're going to be able to live another day. But I lived the 4 years on campus, and I had many roommates, and the college experience, a lot of stuff happened, but I was able to graduate. I graduated, and my sister, then it became a little bit easier because when I was 2 years in, my sister came to join me. She came to the same school I went, and that was nice to have her on campus. And then, I graduated and I got a job that had nothing to do with, media. Even though I had some internships in media, I wasn't able to get a job right after school, which was
Why
difficult.
was that? Was the market difficult? Were your location not
it just didn't happen. I mean, it just didn't happen. I can't explain why. And then I went home for a little bit, back to Dominican Republic, feeling like, well, maybe because I have a degree from the U.S., it's going to be easier to start my career in Dominican Republic. And that was a huge mistake. I mean, well, not a mistake. Everything happens for a reason, but it wasn't as easy as I thought. It was actually a very strange process. I mean, I had a lot of job offers, but it wasn't a pleasant experience because I don't know if this happens in other countries in Latin America, but in Dominican Republic, it just happened to be that a lot of these news directors and presidents of, TV stations made some indecent proposals in exchange for a job.
Did they make you do?
Oh, yeah. Maybe
You're
like 3
kidding.
different companies. And it was very direct. There was no misunderstanding. It was what it was.
What did they say?
I was at, I went to see,
No names
I went
or
to a
anything.
meeting once. Yeah, no names. I went to a meeting. It was for a job offer. They were looking for some sort of TV personality. They didn't really say if it was a reporter or just like a host or something. And, we had a nice conversation about the things that I've done, some of my internships. And then we moved the conversation from his desk, where it was very formal setting, to a sort of like a little living room area right in his office where he sat right next to me. And he was like, you have to understand that this business works differently. And, if you want this job, there's some other things that you have to do. And, he had his hand on my lap as he's telling me, trying to, and I was very polite. I understood what he was, trying to say. And I'm like, well, thank you for the opportunity, but I'll pass. It was nice to meet you. I shook his hand and I left. And that was that. So I came back to New York and I got a job as an assistant at a private equity firm, and it was a very good job and it was such a great opportunity. I traveled to Switzerland. I met so many great people. They wanted me to grow within the company and, train me as a junior analyst and whatnot. Wanted me to go to, get my MBA so I can grow within the company. And that was a possibility. And when that opportunity came up, I really found myself at a crossroads. I'm like, okay, so am I going to work in a private equity hedge fund? It was a small company in New York, but a huge company in Switzerland. And am I gonna, take these people up on their offer and grow my career in the finance world? Or am I going to make a drastic decision and I'm going to go for what I really want, which is a career in journalism? And I woke up one day and I sort of knew what the answer was. I'm like, this is not what I want. I want to take the leap. So I quit. I quit my job. They were in shock. They didn't want me to leave, but they understood. I just quit, and I already, I had good savings, very good savings. So I'm like, I have enough money to survive a year. So I'm going to give this crazy idea a year.
That's great savings.
And I was contemplating maybe getting a master's degree in journalism in someplace in Latin America. And then I found a bilingual investigative journalism opportunity, a program in Florida International University in Miami, as I was Googling, wondering where I was going to go to school. And I applied. And within a week, because the deadline was over, I wrote to the person in charge and I was in. I took the test and everything was so fast. It was like in 2 weeks I was in, even though the deadlines were passed. And I just moved to Miami. I grabbed all my money, I grabbed all my clothes, packed everything into 2 suitcases, and I arrived in Miami with just 2 suitcases.
I cannot believe you only had 2 suitcases.
Yeah. And I swear. And, I settled in and I started school like a week into it. This was like August of 2008. And, 2 months later, like October, I got a part-time job in the digital department of a major network, and that's how I started. And that led to another job, and that led to a job in the newsroom, and then now I'm on camera.
That's amazing.
Telling stories every day. It was quite the journey. I don't even know how it happened, but I'm here.
It happened because you made it happen.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that I had forgotten. I mean, sometimes you fall into a vicious circle, into a rut, and every day sort of looks the same. And you're whining and you're not really 100% happy, even though you're content with a lot of the things you've achieved. And you sort of forget that you have the power to change everything. Just one simple decision, one day, can change everything. And I think we need to remind ourselves a lot more about that.
When
we don't like something.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was that? When we don't like something, we have the power to change it. We're just very afraid, and it's normal to be afraid.
And what I was going to say, what you're saying right now, it's so important, and it's part of the core value of this podcast. If you don't like it, change it. I've been sitting on my own unhappy decisions for too long time. Change it. No one else is going to change it for you. You have to take control of your life, of your career, of your decisions, of your moods. Everything is within our.
Yeah. Exactly. It's your life. You can't let anybody else decide what's going to happen with it. Either it be in your relationship or in your career. A boss that thinks you should be this more than you should be that, which is really what you want. Whatever idea they have of you, they don't know you the way you know you. So nobody has the right to make decisions over you, but you. So we forget that. We forget that a lot.
And thank you for reminding us, because we do forget it. We get into the everyday life, the routine. And yeah, we forget that we don't have to do it if we don't want to do it, and we need to take control of it.
Yeah, and you sort of forget that. I mean, it's important to remember that you need to have the strength to just take the leap. Just take the leap. The net is going to appear at some point. Um, you'll get that job eventually. Nobody's been unemployed for 20 years that they don't want to,
Yeah.
You'll find a way. If you try and you work intelligently, you'll find the path.
Now, talking with you the other day, we were discussing how we were all on a personal growth journey. What does
Yeah.
your journey look like?
Well, it's the beginning of the year, and it's an interesting question because I think that a common goal for everybody, no matter where you come from, religion or race, we all, or most of us, I'm hoping, want to become better people overall, over time, with age. And always a New Year, a famous or popular New Year's resolution is I want to be more fit. I want to lose weight. We want to be our best, either physically, spiritually. And I think that for me, this year is all about happiness. I just want to be happy. I don't want to wake up in the morning and for whatever reason, for whatever thing is going on, feel like I'm miserable, like I'm not doing exactly what I want to be doing.
You know what? That's exactly where I was just a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what got this whole thing started. That feeling.
Because we get used to the routine and we get used to feeling that way. But feeling that way is not normal and it shouldn't be acceptable. So I think this year for me is about happiness. And that includes, yes, physical wellness, taking care of my body, being grateful for this body that I have and works so perfectly. I want to keep it that way. I want to grow my faith, just spirituality in general. I just want to feel grateful. I want to feel it in my heart, a lot of gratefulness, because that's what you send out to the universe and that's what comes back to you. And when you're surrounded by positive energy, by happiness, when you're in love, not necessarily with a significant other, but with your family and your friends and just the life that you get to live every day, when you're just content with that, it's just amazing energy that's always surrounding you. And positive energy attracts more positive energy. And that's just what I want. That's what I want for this year. That's my big resolution.
I love it. How do you stay motivated? What keeps you being positive? Because sometimes, I just didn't feel like it. Now I've been doing a more introspective work to get there. But what do you do in particular to stay motivated and to find contentment and to surround yourself with positive thinking?
Well, and this is a working process because I think that as part of our growth as human beings and as part of us evolving, we adopt new practices and new skills. And I think I've been praying. I've been trying to pray every day. I feel that just taking 30 seconds to say, thank you, God, for everything that I have, for just a family that is united, that, is peaceful, that is loving, that it might not be with me physically because, I live in Texas and they're, divided between Florida, New York, and Dominican Republic. We're very united at heart. We talk every day and we laugh and we miss each other. And that's magical because there's so many people that don't have that. And I have that. And I'm in a loving relationship. I'm happier than I've ever been in my life. And I'm grateful for that. So I remind myself every morning, that I have all of these amazing things in my life, that I have a roof over my head, that I have food, I can pay my bills, thankfully. And that's amazing. That's something that a lot of people don't have. So I'm happy for that. I'm grateful for that. And I also ask, because ask and you shall receive. So I make sure that every day poor God needs to have, his ear tired of listening to me. But every day I ask because if you don't ask, I mean, how is he going to know what you want? So I ask, I say thank you. And that helps me get out of bed in the morning with a different attitude, with energy. It's incredible how that changes my energy. And for some people, it might be something else. It might be, just meditating in silence, which I've done. And it's magical when you just shut up. Maybe it's that, or maybe it's just going for a run in silence by yourself and just thinking about the past few days or what you want your day to look like. Whatever it is that works for you, do something in the morning to start your day the right way.
I love that.
And it's sort of like exercising. When you go to the gym, it has to become a habit, and eating healthy needs to become a habit. This too has to become a habit because we are so used to, rolling out of bed, clicking on the alarm clock with half our eyes closed, and then we brush our teeth, we hop in the shower, and we do the coffee, and then we drink it, and we run out the door, and then every day is the same thing. We need to learn how to break that cycle, break it, and just do something different.
And I think this is a perfect way to transition into another question that I have for you.
Okay.
What inspires you?
Oh, wow. A lot of things. I mean, as journalists, or as a journalist, I think that a lot of what inspires me in my work, or the work that I aspire to do one day, is doing something that really makes people think, and contemplate other angles or other versions of the truth. Something that, the work that really helps people become better humans. I'm a fan of watching stuff like PBS, that could be the very simple show on, educational, DIY, or watching a show like 60 Minutes or Dateline, which are so human, and investigative and show us, that other side of a story that maybe the common person who's living their life on day to day wouldn't contemplate these things. We have no time for that. That's sort of our job to present these other versions of the truth to people, to cover stories that just show the human side of us as people, as inhabitants of this world, because those are the things that make you pause and sort of get out of your daily routine and make you cry or make you laugh and make you feel human. That inspires me in my work. Something that really inspires me, leadership. I'm so inspired by bosses because I've never been the boss, but just in general, a boss who is a leader, who is a person who takes you in, who's a mentor, who can see potential in you that you can't see in yourself, and that really is passionate about bringing that out in you, helping you grow.
Yeah, there's nothing more important than having that person in your life, because I do believe we are all like diamonds, in a rock. Is that how they say it?
In diamonds in the rough. Yeah.
In the rough.
Exactly.
Diamonds in the rough.
Someone who sees greatness in you where you don't see it, and that they're inspired and motivated to see the best in you. That inspires me a lot. And I hope that one day I can be that to someone else. I just think that overall, love and humanity inspire me. It's incredible how strangers, when they come in touch with that, sensitive side of themselves, can do amazing things for people they've never seen. And the energy that surrounds that, I mean, as journalists, we get to experience this from the outside. And when we cover stories of strangers doing amazing things for other people, and the energy that you feel, at least for me, the energy that I feel when stuff like that is happening, it's hypnotizing.
Yeah.
I can't stop watching. I don't want to leave. I just want it to keep going. So that's something that I really love about the work that we do.
I do think it's a privilege to be a journalist. I mean,
It is.
you are granted access to people's lives, to places that nobody else will be granted access. And that's a privilege for me to be able to witness and to have the opportunity to share that with our audiences. I think it's a very
Yeah.
unique opportunity that we have as journalists.
It is. It's a unique opportunity, and it's also. I mean, what worries me the most always with every story, especially when it's human drama, is I want to be fair and I want to be sensitive to this person's pain. That I'm probably not feeling myself because I'm not in these shoes, but only imagining being in those shoes, breaks my heart in a million pieces. And I want to be sure that I portray this this feeling and this situation to the best of my abilities, that I'm fair and that I'm humane with other people's drama.
Yeah, exactly.
Life's drama.
Yeah, we should never lose that side of that as journalists, definitely.
Which you can very easily lose, because sometimes in the daily grind of our work, it's
you
just like any other job,
Yeah, you just want to get it done, and it has to be done on deadline. And yeah, you do lose sensitivity sometimes.
Yeah, but I always try and take a step back and remind myself and try and stay present on what's really going on.
Now, I am going to switch gears a little bit. You are a millennial, right?
Okay. I barely make the cut, but I am.
No, you should say the opposite. You're like one of the late ones.
Yes.
So,
yes, I guess I am. Yeah.
They've been described as many things. And I want you to tell me if you, as a millennial who barely made the cut, can feel like this is or not the reality of this generation. Are you guys entitled, narcissistic, tough to manage, self-interested, unfocused? These are some of the adjectives that I recently saw on a piece on YouTube. Do you feel like that's who you are?
I don't feel that's who I am. I mean, if I'm one thing, I'm very hardworking, and I take pride in that, because I've always felt I don't want anything to be given to me. I want to earn it. And at least the younger millennials that I've met and that I work with, because we have a few that work with us, I don't see that. I mean, these people work really hard. They're focused. They know what they want. And I think that maybe that description of being hard to manage could possibly fit in, only because this generation knows what it wants, and it knows how to ask for it. And it doesn't take no for an answer. And if you say no, you better have a good reason. And if you have a good reason, you better have a date for when it's going to happen, or what is it that you need me to do to make it happen. So I think that in that sense, yeah, they might be hard to manage, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing because of the reason why they're hard to manage. They're not, they're in control of their careers, or at least they're trying to be.
And I don't see anything wrong with that, because I think the more responsible people are, and the more invested they are in their careers and the path they're going to, the more successful they're going to be, and also the more productive. Another topic that studies say is characteristic of millennials is the amount of student loan debt. How do you see that?
Well, I have student loan debt myself. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I haven't found the magic formula. If not, I would have paid for my loans a long time ago. Is that
keeping you from being who you want to be?
I don't think so. It has kept me, I feel, from doing some things that I want to do. I feel that maybe, if I didn't have that burden, I would probably own a property by now, or I would have a better car. But, maybe that's not the case. Maybe I'm not saving enough. Maybe it's just, me and my personal financial management.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm disorganized with my money, not at all. Actually, I feel like I'm very disciplined. So, I mean, it's a very subjective situation. But I think in general, it is a situation for this generation. We're in debt, in a lot of debt, and it's not even credit card debt for things that we want. It was just trying to pay for an education that you think you needed, you thought you needed in order to achieve, your goals in life.
Do you feel now like you might have not needed as much as an education as you got because you have a master's?
Yeah, I do, and I don't regret my master's. It's something that I wanted to get, and I got so many amazing experience out of it, and I think I got ultimately the internship that got me the job from that master's. But I also have a lot of friends that are not in the industry and they got the same master's. So I think it's a case by case situation. I do think that education in this country is ridiculously expensive. I don't know where it's going to go. By the time I have kids, what are we going to pay? $100,000 standard price for a college?
The way things are going, yeah, I'm afraid.
That's ridiculous. That's just unacceptable. And I really don't know what the future of that is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, me as a parent, one of the things that I was stressing about when my kids were little is how are we going to put these two kids through college? And we made a decision, my husband and I, early on. You know what? We can have a better car. We can have more vacation. We can have couches and TVs and whatever. But we need to put this money away for the kids' college fund because we are not going to make it. I mean, here comes 20 years later. How are we going to pay for college? Or, my daughter is 12. So she's going to be going to college in 9 or 10 years. What? 8 years? I don't even know. I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah. Well, I can't blame you because I don't have any kids and I worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, when that's keeping you up at night and your kids are little, yeah, that's something you need to start preparing for. And that's something we started doing a while ago. And I'm really happy we did. And even though we had to, make the choices and our friends were going places or driving cars that we were not. And that's okay, because my goal was more important than having the things right now.
And that's usually the way life works. When you know what you want and you have a plan and you're very concentrated on, achieving your goal, whatever happens in between, you'll get through it. And every time you have, that difficult situation, you say, no, it doesn't matter because I'm this much closer to achieving what I want, whatever that goal is. So I think it's the same model that applies for anything that you want in life.
Now that we're talking about life, how do you find life and work balance? I know you don't have kids, but you still have a life. It's still the way you want to live it. How do you balance it out? Because for people who are, and we see it all the time, for people who don't have kids, they are the ones that get called more often to work the extra hours and the mornings. And
yeah.
So there needs to be a balance for that too.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, I think it's the industry that we're in. We're usually obsessed with the news. We not only do it for work, but we also watch it when we're not working. I think that part of finding that balance for me is that I do not watch the news. I do not see Twitter or tweet anything when I'm off. When I'm off, I am off. I don't know what's going on in the world unless it's, major breaking news that I'll hear from somewhere. I usually don't know what's going on. And I want to keep it that way. At the beginning, it was really hard because as I said, you're a little bit obsessed and you're always wanting to know what's going on. But I trained myself. I trained my brain to stop it because you are for us, you're constantly working.
Yeah.
If you're in bed on a Saturday morning when you're off and you're, looking through your Twitter feed and, seeing what all these outlets are tweeting and what's going on, then our brain is working because we're already, thinking a few days ahead on possible, possible stories that we can do related to that topic. And we're already thinking who we're going to call, who we're going to schedule. Your brain just works, like that. So I stopped. I cut cold turkey. I stopped it. And I usually, unless it's an emergency and we're on call for some major breaking news, I try not to work. If they offer me, can you work on a weekend and then, comp you some time? I'm starting to say no to that because when you're so exhausted, you just can't catch up. You can't rest enough.
I kind of did the same that you did a while ago because I would wake up before the sun was even awake to read the news and show up to work knowing everything that happened in the entire world, and then go home and still watch the news. And it got to a point where I was overwhelmed by it. And I went just like you. I pulled the plug, and I'm like, I'm on the news during work time and only if there's anything major, because I need to be present for my family and for myself. And this is consuming me alive. Just being aware of what's going on or not on the news all the time, just because I work on the news. I think it's important to be informed. Definitely, it's part of your job, but there needs to be a balance.
Yeah. And it's really hard for us. So that's what I've been doing. It's working.
I'm glad.
I still get up, if I'm working, I still get up really early and I look at everything. I just feel like if I don't look at everything, I haven't done my research.
Mm-hmm.
So I still do that. And we start working, at 9? I'm working at 7 already.
Yeah.
From bed. But that's just part of what we do and who we are.
Exactly.
But if I'm off, I'm off. I'm completely off.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Okay, Lorraine, as we prepare to wrap things up, are you reading anything right now that you are enjoying, or have you read anything lately that you would like to share with us?
I've been just reading the Bible, actually, which I've never done. I'm opening random pages. I don't necessarily do it every day, but I have it in my bed, my nightstand, and I just open to random pages when I just feel like, I need to hear something. Well, and that's been nice.
They call Proverbs the book of wisdom, so you're in the right place. You're searching in the right place.
Yeah, so that's been nice.
Awesome.
That's been nice.
Well, Lorraine, thank you so much for sharing with us and joining me on One Take. Before we go, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, I know you are on social media and many different channels, but what is a good way for people if they want to tweet you or look you up on Facebook? Where should they look you?
You can usually find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter if you just type in my full name, which is Loraine, Lorraine, last name Caceres. It comes up. You'll see it's me because I'm the only journalist with that name. My email is full name, LORRAINE, CACERES
Excellent. Now, to say goodbye, any words of inspiration for our listeners?
Yes. 2017 has to be the year of happiness. There's no bargaining, no negotiating. The year just started. Make it a priority. And it's a daily exercise, a daily routine, practicing gratitude, just taking 30 seconds every morning to have that moment. And make sure that every day you wake up and you make it a purpose to be happy and change. Just change. Have faith in changing any situation that you're not happy with right now. It's just a matter of taking the leap, and that net is going to appear.
I love it. This is going to become one of my quotes from this show to put it up on Instagram and all that stuff. Well, thank you so much, Lorraine. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you bet. I really enjoyed having you. And I'm sure our listeners did too.
Thank you so much for having me. I really wish that, and my hopes for you are that this podcast is a total success. I'm loving it already.
Thank you. I hope so too.
Take care.
Thank you. I hope that you guys found this conversation entertaining, informative, and inspiring. I sure need to make it a point of focusing of 2017 also becoming the year of happiness. I have great hopes and great plans for this year, and being happy, you bet, it's on the top of the list. So I thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Remember, I would really appreciate your help if you can take a minute. It doesn't take more than a minute of your day to leave me a written review on iTunes. Go ahead in the iTunes section of the podcast and click on the comments and reviews, and you can write something about this podcast. Was this useful for you? Did you enjoy it? Why did you like it? Just something really brief. Your reviews help me get noticed by iTunes, and hopefully with your help, we can get to more people and we can give this podcast a wider audience. If you guys can help me with that, I would very much appreciate it. And if you're not listening on iTunes, whichever system that you're using to listen to, they have a place for reviews. So go ahead and do the same thing. I would be very, very happy, and I would really appreciate if you guys can do that. Until next time, remember, take it easy. I'll talk to you on the next tape.